You can listen for your chance to win 4 tickets to Arizona Diamondbacks when they take on the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, April 26th at Chase Field. And you're going to want to get to that game early to get a Diamondbacks replica jersey courtesy of Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. The first 25,000 fans at the game will get one. Get your tickets at dbacks.com/SGT. So you're listening on the app. You're logged in while you're listening. You can have a chance to win 4 tickets to the Diamondbacks when they take on the Braves. They're on the road, though, tonight, this afternoon, 3:40 against the Miami Marlins. I want to dive back into the Phoenix Suns in a conversation that we kind of started yesterday, talking about how a head coaching change can't be the only thing that this team does this offseason. And yes, I know there are going to be different players on this team. That wasn't what I was getting at yesterday. What I was getting at yesterday, and we outlined it, is this can't stop with the coach. It has to also extend to the front office. There need to be major changes in the front office. That James Jones needs to be gone from his role as the president of basketball operations. And not because I think James Jones has done a terrible, awful job. Can't believe he's had the job for this long. This was the guy that was the architect, one of the architects of a team that was 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. So he knows what he's doing. He's not awful at this job. The last couple of years just have not been good. And I think the Suns could help themselves by bringing somebody in with experience, bringing somebody in who has been a president of basketball operations and has built a team that has won a championship, has some new ideas, and is just a fresh voice to the conversation. That's what I said yesterday. I still believe that the Suns would be better off going that direction. But there was a story written in The Athletic yesterday that made me wonder if that would even do anything. Because when Coach Bud got fired yesterday, there was a story written on The Athletic, reporting from Doug Holler, Sam Amick, Fred Katz. So 3 reporters teamed up to write this story. And they talked about firing Coach Bud, what might be next. And I want to read to you a little blurb from this story because it does make me wonder if a front office change would actually do anything. Quote, "The fate of president of basketball operations, James Jones, is not yet known, but his contract expires at the end of June, league sources said. And Ishbia is widely expected to consider new candidates for the role," end quote. Producer Evan, that sounds great, right? Contracts ending in June, but Ishbia widely expected to consider different people from that role. That should put a smile to my face. I think there should be changes in the front office. I should be excited by that sentence. No? You think?
Not if they wait till June.
Well, no, the June part, that's just when his contract is up. But we should be excited that Ishbia is expected to consider different candidates. We should take that and be excited about it, right?
Is that enough, though?
I'm about to take a bucket of cold water and throw it all over that because the next paragraph says something that undoes the optimism that you might have that Ishbia is considering new people. Quote, "Jones has been with the Suns since 2017 and has held the lead role in the front office since 2019. Though league and team sources say Ishbia and CEO Josh Bartelstein assumed far more prominent roles in trade negotiations and team operations this season," end quote. And therein lies the problem. Because I can advocate to making a change in the front office. I can say to all of you, this team needs a new voice. This team needs somebody with fresh ideas. If those fresh ideas are not going to be listened to, if that fresh voice is going to fall on deaf ears because truly the people that are making the decisions are Matt Ishbia and the CEO, Josh Bartelstein, if actually the trade negotiations and team operations are being done by those two gentlemen, then it doesn't matter if James Jones's contract gets extended. It doesn't matter if the team wants to go in a different direction in the front office. Because if the people at the top, the owner who's not going anywhere and the CEO who doesn't seem like he's going anywhere, if those are really the two gentlemen that are making the decisions, this story said they had far more prominent roles in trade negotiations. If only there was a major trade that the Phoenix Suns may or may not have to orchestrate this summer. If only there was a franchise-defining move that this team might have to make or will make in the coming months. James Jones doesn't look like he's going to be a part of that process, nor would somebody new in that spot. So you can want fresh voices like I do. You can want somebody who may think outside of the box. I want that. I think the Suns would be better off doing that. But if you're just going to bring in a new person and they're going to be mostly ignored and they're just going to mostly defer to Ishbia and the CEO, then all the Suns would be doing by firing James Jones and bringing somebody new in would be paying lip service to the fans. Fans have called for a change in the front office. I've called for a change in the front office. Feels like it's time. If nothing actually inherently changes with the process, then it doesn't matter who holds the title of president of basketball operations. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the process that got us into this mess. Remember when I said yesterday the Suns have to continue to take those steps forward and prove that they have learned from their mistakes? Yesterday they took one small step forward. The worry is that they would take 2 steps backwards. If they continue to operate with Ishbia and Bartlestein having, as this story iterates, far more prominent roles in trade negotiations and team operations this season. If they took more of the reins this season, that's what this is saying, right? That the owner, the CEO decided, you know what, this isn't working. This is kind of going off the rails. We are going to insert ourselves a little more. We're going to insert ourselves a little more with trade negotiations. We're going to insert ourselves more with team operations. Now, what does that mean? Were they handling a lot of the trade calls for Kevin Durant? Were they handling a lot of the calls when the team traded the unprotected 2031 first-round pick to Utah in exchange for 3 firsts over the next couple of years? Were they the ones that sent the final call for Yusuf Nurkic? Were they the ones handling that trade with Charlotte? How involved are we getting here? What does far more prominent roles actually mean? And here's the question I have. Did they learn from taking that more hands-on approach? Did they take that hands-on approach and think to themselves, man, this just didn't work. We got to get somebody new in here. We have to get a fresh voice. We got to change things up. Or did they take the reins of things and think to themselves, we just didn't do this soon enough. We didn't take more control soon enough, so we're just going to oversee this whole thing now. That, to me, would be the scariest outcome. Because honestly, then, I don't know if it matters who you hire as your head coach. Doesn't matter if you keep James Jones or move on from James Jones. It doesn't matter what you do with Bradley Beal. It is going to matter what you do with Kevin Durant. And do you trust this group? If they took on a more hands-on approach and it didn't work out, do you trust this group to get the most of a Kevin Durant trade? This is the stuff that would scare me. This is the stuff that makes me wonder if they did learn. Now, the story doesn't say that they're going to continue to have a more hands-on approach. Maybe they saw the snowball sliding down the hill and they just tried to get in the way to stop it, and now they'll reset. We'll see. We'll see from the actions that they take. But this little throwaway line in this story really, really concerns me. I am scared of what the ramifications of this could be. Because then maybe they didn't learn. Maybe they aren't going to learn from their mistakes, admit their past failings. Because you can't change the owner. The CEO is not going anywhere. So I just worry for those like myself who think a front office change is needed. Would things actually change?
I wonder if anything has to do with James Jones isn't their guy. He's not one they brought in. He was here when Ishbia bought the team. How much does that have to do with if Ishbia is able to bring in his own guy? Is he going to have less say, take a step back? Or no, is that just going to be, we're going to hire somebody and they become more of a figurehead under Ishbia.
Well, here's what's really interesting about that is you've had multiple reasons to move on from James Jones the last couple of years, if you wanted to.
And they haven't.
You got rid of Monty. The moment you got rid of Monty, you could have also gotten rid of James Jones and said, listen, I just got here, I know, but I want a clean slate. I want to bring in my guys. We kind of thought this was sliding out of control. We went to the finals, and then the next year we were an early exit. We just got to change things up. And so I'm making changes in the front office. I'm making changes in the coaching ranks. You could have done what Denver did with Michael Malone and Calvin Booth and got rid of both guys all in one fell swoop, but you didn't do that. And then the next year, after you had Vogel, and that didn't work out, you could have again decided, you know what, this isn't working. We need to just fresh voices across the board. And you didn't. So I hear you, but they've had chances to do this, and they haven't. Is it because James Jones doesn't stand in the way when they want to get involved and meddle and be in a more prominent role like the story outlines? I just don't know. We're not in the room. We don't know what it actually means to have a far more prominent role. And we are guessing at whether or not they've learned from their mistakes. This would scare me because I think more so than the coaching staff, the front office needs changing. That is where things have gone off the rails. The Kevin Durant trade, the Bradley Beal move, the building a bench over the last couple of years. That is where this team has failed. The coaching has been a part of it. But Frank Vogel won 49 games 2 years ago. It doesn't happen on accident. So you hired a pretty decent coach in Frank Vogel. I think a lot of what has doomed this franchise is the mistakes they have made in the front office. And until we see the Kevin Durant trade, until we see what they do in the offseason with bringing in other players, sending other players away, what they do in the draft, until we see a complete picture of the overhaul that they make with this roster, we're not going to know if they've learned their lesson. But here is what I will tell you sitting here right now. If it is still going to be Ishbia and Bartelstein being prominent in the decision-making process, then I will tell you, it does not matter if James Jones is here or not. I know most of you want a front office change. I've heard from you. Comments on our YouTube videos, comments during our live streams. I've heard you say that the front office has to go. I agree with you. But I'm here to tell you it does not matter if they make a change in the front office, if Matt Ishbia is still the one that is going to, and he's an owner, it's his right, he's allowed to do this, but if he is going to not allow the people he hires to do their jobs, then it doesn't matter who is sitting in the president of basketball operations chair. It just doesn't.